Στην COP27 αποφασίστηκε η δημιουργία ταμείου που θα αποζημιώνει τις πιο ευάλωτες χώρες για τις κλιματικές καταστροφές που προκαλούν οι εκπομπές άνθρακα του ανεπτυγμένου κόσμου. Είναι όμως αυτό αρκετό? Η κλιματική κρίση δεν μας απειλεί. Η κλιματική κρίση είναι μαζί μας και ήρθε για να μείνει. Την ώρα που λάβαναν χώρα οι διεργασίες της COP27, οι παγκόσμιοι ηγέτες έπρεπε να λάβουν αποφάσεις σχετικά με τη χρήση άνθρακα, στη σκιά του πολέμου της Ουκρανίας. Οι στόχοι που τέθηκαν στη διάσκεψη της Αιγύπτου έπρεπε να είχαν επιτευχθεί χθες, ενώ οι μετέχοντες στις μαραθώνιες συζητήσεις απέτυχαν να ορίσουν χρονοδιάγραμμα σχετικά με τη ρεαλιστική μείωση των εκπομπών διοξιδίου του άνθρακα. Για τα παραπάνω, μιλήσαμε με 5 ευρωβουλευτές που έζησαν την COP27 από μέσα και οι οποίοι εκπροσωπούν όλες τις ευρωομάδες του Κοινοβουλίου. Κοινός γνώμονάς τους είναι η εξοικονόμηση ενέργειας για φέτος, αλλά και ένα δικαιότερο πλάνο για τις αναπτυσσόμενες χώρες για τα επόμενα χρόνια.
Νομίζω ότι μάθαμε πολλά στη φετινή COP27. Μάθαμε ότι έχουμε μπροστά μας όλα τα εργαλεία, τα οικονομικά εργαλεία, τα τεχνολογικά εργαλεία, τα πολιτικά εργαλεία, για να μπορέσουμε να προχωρήσουμε σε έναν κόσμο που θα μείνει στο 1,5 βαθμό. Μάθαμε ότι ο 1,5 βαθμός είναι το απόλυτο όριο για το οποίο μπορούμε να πολεμήσουμε, προκειμένου να αποφύγουμε χιλιάδες θανάτους, μεγάλη φτώχεια και μεγάλη πείνα. Και μάθαμε ότι έχουμε τη δυνατότητα να το κάνουμε. Μάθαμε επίσης ότι το τζάμπα πέθανε. Οι χώρες του Νότου ρωτάνε σωστά και μας λένε ότι δεν τα κάψαμε μαζί. Η Αφρική και οι ολόκληροι μαζί περίπου 1% των παγκοσμίων εκπομπών και υποφέρει από μεγάλες καταστροφές, από ακραία φαινόμενα που δεν θα ήταν ποτέ τόσο ακραία, ήταν αδύνατο να είναι τόσο ακραία εάν δεν υπήρχε η ανθρώπινη παρέμβαση, η ανθρώπινη παρέμβαση του Βορρά. Επομένως, η συζήτηση για τις ζημίες και τις απώλειες είναι κάτι που πρέπει να αντιμετωπίσουμε με μεγάλη φαντασία, με μεγάλη τόλμη, αναμορφώνοντας ριζικά το παγκόσμιο χρηματοοικονομικό σύστημα, τη συμφωνία του Bretton Woods, την τρόπο που δουλεύει η Διεθνή Τράπεζα, το Διεθνές Νομισματικό Ταμείο και γενικότερα όλη μας η οικονομία. Έχουμε λοιπόν μπροστά μας μια μεγάλη περιπέτεια και αυτό που κρατάμε πάνω απ' όλα σαν πιο σοφοί από αυτή τη συνάντηση είναι ότι εάν δεν συνεργαστούμε όλοι μαζί, θα χαθούμε όλοι μαζί. Αν εργαστούμε όλοι μαζί, έχουμε μπροστά μας ένα σπουδαίο μέλλον για μας και τα παιδιά μας.
Well, I think there are two things I'm going to take with me. The first was the meeting with the indigenous people, where you have a special problem with people without functional rights, so they are not able to defend themselves. And if we are not stepping in to defend them, then it will end badly. The second issue is the water issue, where we can see that in a closer future there will be a lack of drinking water in some of the biggest Asian countries. That's India, that's Bangladesh, that's Pakistan. This is a very serious problem which we have to address today, because if we don't do it, then the result will be very bad. Then about the role of the European Union, I think we still are trying to be the good go-between. So we are trying to show that this COP can't fail, because if this COP would fail, then there wouldn't be very much idea to have COPs in the future. So we have to stand up, we have to be more precise in our judgments, and we have to be sort of persevering and be a good and hard negotiator. So I think we can manage it by that. So that's in short.
I want this COP to be a COP not of words but of action. So what we have to do now is to show a way, a pathway to how we want to implement the 1.5 goal. With the European Union, we're coming with a strong mandate, with the European Green Deal, with the Fit for 55 package, where we show a package, but also we as parliaments make clear that we want to deliver when it comes about financing the different challenges, especially the global south is facing towards just transition. So what I have the impression here after 2 days is that it's not only about, the discussion is not only about reducing global emissions, it's about doing this in a social just way. It's thinking about the climate justice as an important driver for the change that we need to see. So this is what I'm very optimistic about, and I hope to, of course, that we also deliver solutions to that.
The mood here in Sharm el-Sheikh is better than I expected. So it's a challenging time. We are facing the Russian aggression in Ukraine. We have an energy crisis, but still the world is talking, and not only talking about climate change, but agreeing on important things. Europe has raised the ambition. You know, what I think we could have done better, and especially Vice President Franz Timmermans could have done better, that he talked more, especially with the developing countries. So he was not really active in reaching out to those countries in Africa that get their voice here, because it's an African COP, and that he should have done better. We are doing very good in the European Union with not only achieving at 55%, but even overachieving. And what was also very interesting, that the European Parliament insisted on making climate finance for poor countries a priority in the ETS. And here I got a very good reaction from the Marshall Islands, which are leading somehow all the small island states and are a key player here. Ourselves, we should do better. We should stop traveling from Strasbourg to Brussels and back, because it's a waste of energy, and especially in this winter when gas is very scarce, we should not waste energy by heating two big buildings. So we should lead by example. Here at the COP, it worked. So last week I understood it was very cold. People have to have warm clothes because the air condition was very strong. This morning I saw it's 25 degrees. And that's also the policy of the European Parliament. We shouldn't waste energy by making people freeze when it's 27 degrees outside.
I think still what we are suffering from as a European Union is that we have 27 member states who are deciding on a strategy. And that, almost by definition, makes you sometimes slow in reacting to developments in the negotiation, in the COP. And I sometimes have the feeling that some of the countries of the EU are fighting for a mandate that is then being agreed by the Ministers of Environment 2 weeks before the COP. But of course this mandate is always, almost by definition, insufficient to what is going to happen at the COP. We absolutely improved that. So you see that Europe is speaking with one voice. We have a daily meeting on coordination. We know that we want to move beyond. But I still think that some countries have the feeling now we agreed on a mandate and that's then sufficient for the COP. And that's not the case. In a way, I think all 27 countries need to realize, what do you agree in your mandate, but what do you have further in your pocket for the negotiations? Because, for example, here in Sharm el-Sheikh, one of the big discussions was loss and damage. We knew that. It was not a surprise. And the official statement of the European Union before we went to COP was that we were in favor of a dialogue on loss and damage. I think everyone could realize that a loss and damage dialogue was insufficient. And now, of course, that discussion is ongoing while we're here, and we are now just one day before the final day. And still Europe is, yes, Europe moved, Europe is moving, Europe is putting proposals out, so that's really the improvement. But they are still a bit unclear what the position is on the loss and damage facility. And just one day before the end of the COP, I think we could have known before that we need a stronger position on that and more clarity on that position. So we can still learn in working closer together in a faster way and preparing for strategic discussions during a COP. I think the main lessons learned from this COP is that we are still not translating the science of IPCC into national action. When we were talking our first day here last Monday, we were talking to the chair of the IPCC, the climate panel, and he was very clear. The world needs to be climate neutral by 2050, which means some regions need to go faster, Europe. Global emissions need to peak by 25 and then need to go down. There should not be expansion of infrastructure on fossils. All these elements are provided by the IPCC, and still we are not translating that into our own national plans. I think this remains the biggest discussion, because as long as we are not truly translating that knowledge into climate action, then of course issues like loss and damage unfortunately will become bigger. because if we do not do enough on climate mitigation, then loss and damage, climate impacts will become bigger. So they are related, and I think that kind of balanced approach what we talk about in practice is still insufficient, and we still not have learned that enough.